had somebody ask me, Charlie, when is the weather going to become more active? And I said, you just wait. Hello, everyone. I'm meteorologist Charlie Neese, and welcome to Hotspot Weather, where we take a look at some of the weather hotspots across the country and a general forecast as well. And look, we've got much colder air coming into much of the central and eastern parts of the country. We have a chance of snow for some areas, and also we will be seeing a chance of severe weather as we go through today. This is the 24th of November, 2025, Monday of the week of Thanksgiving. And look, I know there are a lot of weather channels here on YouTube. You could be visiting. I appreciate you spending some time right here with me on Hotspot Weather. Let's take a look at where the Storm Prediction Center is forecasting that chance of severe weather here on the 24th. This is across eastern Texas, Louisiana, back into parts of Mississippi as well. They do have, the Storm Prediction Center is forecasting a 5% chance of a tornado within 25 miles of any one point. Better chances for wind damage and a chance for some hail with some of these thunderstorms as well. This is where we're going to be the most unstable, and this energy moving from the west eastward is going to be tapping into some of that instability. As we work into Tuesday, the 25th, it looks like the best chance of seeing a tornado is going to shift a little off toward the east to a 2%, but there's only a level 1 out of 5 now. They dropped it a little bit. It was a level 2 earlier. They've dropped it to a level 1 out of 5 risk for severe weather for this area. The deep south mainly up into East Tennessee. And then for day 3, as we head into Wednesday, that system is pushing off the east coast. So just mainly a chance of general thunderstorms from the northeast all the way down into Florida. That could change though as we get closer to that time period. We'll certainly watch to see that. Now, one thing we've got going on is we have a very strong jet stream that's developing, and that is going to really help to energize these storm systems. And we've had a split jet, a northern branch, a southern branch, and until we get mainly a single branch of the jet stream, that's when we can start to get some really cold air, and we haven't had that except for a couple of times so far this fall. And so here's our storm system coming in through Texas and pulling into the lower Mississippi River Valley. That's going to be helping to energize those storms today. Northern branch of the jet still got most of that cold air locked up. We have seen some waves of cold air across New England, but we are going to be seeing much of the country covered up on it as we go through the next few days. Let me put this into motion for you. And notice as we head into Wednesday, we see the two branches of the jet really form into one. This big trough develops. That's what's going to be giving us that first wave of cold air as we go into Wednesday. And it's going to be settling in for Thursday and Friday across the eastern part of the country. As we head into the weekend, it starts to push off the East Coast. So it's a relatively brief shot of cold air, but much colder than we have been. This is Thanksgiving Day. Big, big trough, windy conditions, especially across the Great Lakes. That also will set us up for some snow in the Great Lakes, some lake effect snows. And then we do see a little bit of a milder weather pattern returning as we head into the weekend for the central part of the country and also for the deep south before the next storm system. And this one looks to be a game changer for us. This pattern, we split the jet again temporarily, but this is going to be potentially a major storm system across the country as we head into next week. That will be bringing more in the way of snowfall. I think a bigger area of snow across the Great Lakes into the Midwest. It's also going to be giving us potentially a better chance of severe weather as we head into next week. Not this week, but next week. And here's our storm system today over Texas, moving again into the lower Mississippi River Valley, bringing those showers and thunderstorms. That's where we do have that best chance of severe weather really across any parts of the country. We will see some scattered showers up into the middle Mississippi River Valley, maybe a few light showers across the Great Lakes. This is the beginning of our storm system that's going to be bringing the much colder air across the central and eastern parts of the country, and also a chance for some snowfall across the upper Midwest into the Great Lakes. You can see as we head through Wednesday. So this is going to be a day where we're going to have some folks out traveling, and the biggest travel headaches could be here across the Great Lakes. Windy conditions developing for places like Chicago, turning much, much colder, and that leading edge of that cold air is diving southward as we go through the day on Wednesday. Then Thursday for Thanksgiving, the good news is much of the country will be fairly quiet for travel, but there's that big batch of cold air across the central parts of the country, down all the way into the southeast, moving down into parts of even central Florida where it's still going to be mild but turning colder. but really from Atlanta to Nashville, Louisville, Chicago, Des Moines, Minneapolis, it is much, much colder than we've seen. And there you see the lake effect snow machine getting going. And again, it's going to be windy and cold for Thanksgiving Day. Then as we head into Friday, of course, a lot of folks plan to get out for Black Friday to do some shopping, often on snow showers from New England down into the big cities of the Northeast, New York, back into around Philly. Could be seeing some snow showers in the cold air with temperatures staying below freezing all day. The same for around Chicago, back into Minneapolis. New snows breaking out in the plains from North Dakota, South Dakota, back into parts of Nebraska as well. Meanwhile, for places like Little Rock, Oklahoma City, Dallas, Nashville, Jackson, Mississippi, Birmingham, it's colder, but it's relatively calm, just breezy at times. But let me put this into the future a little bit more and show you what at least the American model is calling for as we go into next week. This is the second storm system. This one looks to be much more active, another big shot of cold air behind it. Look at the rains breaking out from Texas all the way up into the Great Lakes. This would be on Monday, a week from today, Monday, the 1st of December. Big snows breaking out in the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and then yet another storm system comes out of the Pacific, moves through the Four Corners. And if this pattern, now the European model is not as high on this much storminess, but the GFS has been consistent with it. And one thing I am noting as we go into the middle and second half of next week, it does start to paint a picture of kind of a stalled out weather pattern with a lot of waves of rain across the deep south, mainly the Tennessee Valley. And we'll have to watch out for some flooding potential here by the middle and end of next week during the first week of December. Again, just a little bit of a preview, a little bit of a look ahead. All right, what about the storms and the severe weather chances for today? You can see those big storms from around Dallas moving eastward and through eastern Texas. This is on Monday during the afternoon, around 2 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time. Little Rock, Arkansas, just starting to see a few storms in northern Louisiana, and again, the big storms coming out of Texas. This is where our best chance of severe weather is going to be as we head into the evening hours. Around 6 o'clock this evening, we've got a band of thunderstorms, probably nothing severe, but some thunder for West Tennessee, back just to the south of Memphis, and then still stretching back into Texas. And then you'll notice these little cells ahead of that line. Have to watch those for some rotation and potential for some tornado warnings. And this is as we head into midnight, Monday night, early morning hours of Tuesday. Showers and thunderstorms from around Nashville, stretching back into northern Mississippi and still into Louisiana. This would be our best chance of seeing severe weather, Louisiana into Mississippi. A little farther off toward the east, as this system does push off toward the east, much of Monday is calm across Tennessee. It's going to be really into the evening and overnight where we start to see more in the way of thunderstorms developing. This is, again, during the evening hours, around 6 o'clock in the evening, Monday, the 24th, showers and thunderstorms through the Nashville area, back down into Arkansas. Some locally heavy rains in Arkansas from this system as well, with the biggest storms, eastern Texas, moving into Louisiana and also into parts of Mississippi as we go through Monday night into the early morning hours of Tuesday. This is Tuesday, a little before dawn, across Birmingham, you're getting into the action. Huntsville, you're getting into the action. And then south of Jackson, Mississippi, as the storms push off toward the east. Hoping that we'll see a little bit of a lull or a lowering in the chance of severe weather for this area as it's coming through during the morning hours when the instability is kind of the least. Here is the instability. You can see sitting across the Gulf of Mexico, but pushing up ahead of that system into Texas and Louisiana as we go into Monday afternoon, Monday night, early morning hours of Tuesday. This is at 6 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Fortunately, the instability just is lacking across Huntsville into Birmingham. A little bit more instability, though, along the Gulf Coast where the storms could be the strongest Tuesday morning as that system ejects and pushes off toward the east. All right, another area that's going to be seeing some active weather is this is on the leading edge of that big wave of cold air that's going to be coming in for Wednesday and Thanksgiving. It starts up across the upper Rockies and across Montana. We're seeing some snows right along the U.S.-Canadian border here, and then that dives off toward the south, and look at that cold air just pouring in as we head into the overnight Monday into the early morning hours of Tuesday. And this is the European as far as snowfall is concerned. It paints this stripe of snow by Thanksgiving Day across the Great Lakes into parts of Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, also into parts of northern South Dakota. It started back in Montana and back into Idaho, where we have accumulating snows as well. So this is what the map could look like as far as accumulating snow. As far as Thanksgiving, much of the country, fortunately, is calm on Thanksgiving Day, just colder across the central and east, and also snow-free. But some big snows up across the Great Lakes, and eventually on the east side of the lakes here from the lake effect snows as we go into Thursday and Friday. So Black Friday, travel trouble spots up along the Great Lakes from those lake effect snows. All right, temperatures are going to be taking a dive across the central and eastern parts of the country. Let's go from the 60s and 70s across the deep south with even some 80s to start the week, 50s all the way up into the central plains and up into the Midwest. But there's the cold air lurking and it starts to push southward. And as we go through the week, it really takes that dive to the south. Let me put that into motion again. You can actually see the cold air draining southward as we go through Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving highs only in the 40s with wind chills in the 30s across the Ohio Valley. Temperatures in the 20s for highs across the northern plains, still going from the 70s to 80s back down into the 60s along the Gulf Coast of Texas, Louisiana, also into parts of Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. That goes into New England where it's going to be cold. We've got the lake effect snows going on for Friday into Saturday across the Great Lakes, and look at all that cold air with temperatures only in the teens across parts of North Dakota as we head into the weekend. But the bigger surge of cold air comes in next week, and again we're going to see a battle of the air masses with a really warm air to the south, lots of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, and then that big surge of cold dry air coming out of the Rockies and out of Canada. That is for next week, the first week of December. And the Climate Prediction Center calls for the 8 to 14 day outlook to see that big area of below average temperatures get bigger and bigger and expand across the country. And eventually much of the country will be below average as we head in through the first week of December. And it could be much stormier and snowier for much of the country that first week of December as well after we get through the Thanksgiving holiday. Well, I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. If you want more information on severe weather safety, check out my YouTube shorts, and I'll see you right back here next time on Hotspot Weather.